Hi class, and welcome to in Module 9. Let's go over the review. In Module 9, you're going to be reading chapters 30 through 32. You'll have quiz number 5. I've put a study guide for the quiz for your efforts so you can review what you're expected to know on the quiz. And this should outline a good setup for you. So for this week, I have the Module 9 summaries right here, and I have 4 very interesting videos on the role of GDP and how the changes to GDP has influenced our economy and what implications those changes have had on our overall economic growth. On quiz number 5, I thought we'd review some of the questions that you might see. This might assist with your effort and your preparation. Now, please note that you have one attempt, 60 minutes, to take the quiz. So when you start the quiz, you have to complete it. Now, here's some of the questions that you could see on the quiz. For example, on question number 2, the techniques of government regulation in the U.S. are intended to increase the degree of competitiveness in the domestic and international marketplace. So we're looking at regulation and whether that helps with the competitive nature of our economy. Question 4, property rights. It encourages productive uses of its resources. So when you have the presence of property rights, things can be bought and sold, and economic growth can occur, which is very important. Question 5, decisions of today have consequences that lie in the future. So the decisions could influence both today and tomorrow. Question 6 is looking at sustained economic growth in the U.S. What is the main factor of why the economy has grown? Question 7, the U.S. system of property rights. What is the role of the government with regard to property rights? Question 8 is looking at the following factors that contribute to long-term economic growth. And if you look at these, all of these have had some type of influence on economic growth in the U.S. Question 9 is looking at government policy decisions and what type of benefits do they have. When you look at stagflation, question 10, stagflation is focusing on the role of output that's declining, however, inflation is increasing. So that's a challenge. So we have output that's declining, which causes a rise in the unemployment rate and increase in inflation as well. Question 11 is looking at the trade-off between inflation and unemployment, which means that if inflation decreases, unemployment will increase, or vice versa, because they go in opposite directions. Question 12 is looking at the techniques of regulation in the U.S. What are some of the techniques that are used in the U.S.? Question 13 is looking at brackets and the marginal tax rates. And brackets forces taxpayers to pay a larger percentage of the income. In which of the following that occurs? Where would the government have to pay, or where would taxpayers pay more? So basically, where will the government have to come in and get involved in the markets? Question 14, government controls over industry. Why does the government control industry? Question 15 is looking at economic growth, and we're looking at households' incentives. how economic growth influences household incentives. Question 16 is looking at heavy business taxes and how business taxes can influence an economy. You'll notice that business taxes hurt small businesses because it's very hard to grow when you have very large taxes. Question 17, when output is held constant, what does inflation do? So if output doesn't change, what should prices do? Question 18, a review of U.S. history provides evidence that. So you want to look at the different classes in our economy. Why does the history of the U.S. matter in question 19? In question 19, you're going to look at, we need to look at historical events. We need to look at how the past influences our mistakes that we've made and how our past could help us with future economic growth. And question 20 is looking at inflation and how taxpayers are going to pay a larger percentage of their income when looking at taxes. So for this week, you have these 20 questions. You have one attempt and 60 minutes to take it. And your work will be due by Saturday. But please focus on your preparation of the study guide in this video to help you with the questions, as I look forward to your reference.